Welcome to the What I Wish I Knew After Pregnancy Loss podcast. I am your host, Shana Southern. I am an angel mum, a rainbow mum, a pregnancy loss practitioner, and trauma-informed coach. I created the Institute of Healing Through Pregnancy Loss out of my own experience with loss in the hopes to provide understanding and healing, educating people on pregnancy loss, and creating more women or men in trained support roles. In this podcast, I hope to shed light on what I wish I knew in relation to pregnancy loss, opening up the conversation, breaking the stigma, and bringing real-life stories plus guest experts. Thank you for being here with me today, and let's dive into today's episode. Hello and welcome to the Holistic Pregnancy Loss Retreat, and where we will be talking about holistic pregnancy loss support. So just first, who am I? So my name is Shana Southern. I am a compassionate and empowering trauma-informed life coach and pregnancy loss practitioner. I am a lost mum myself, and I am a rainbow mum. So this is my daughter here with me. And I am also homeschooling, so she is with me all of the time. I have a deep understanding of the impact of trauma and loss due to my own experience. I help individuals navigate through challenging situations to heal from within. I also train healthcare professionals, coaches, or lost mums as pregnancy loss practitioners with my innovative certification and online programs. And I came from a background as a dental nurse. So you don't have to come from a background of therapy or counseling or anything like that to be in this support space. So if you don't already have a business, if you're coming without any sort of foundations, then this is still for you. So here is just a few things that you will gain from this 5 days. Career growth through specialization, impactful loss recovery advocate, confident in discussing loss, and that you don't have to refer anyone away. And I think this is the big thing, especially the last two things, being confident in being able to hold these conversations and know that you don't have to refer them away if this support is needed. And then you can specialize, you can add to your skill set, you can specialize your services, your offerings, and then you can expand and, touch more people with that. So day one, we will be unlocking grief literacy and emotional processing power. Day two, we'll be understanding the lens of a lost mum, how she views her world and her belief system. Day three will be empowering bereaved mothers through identity, purpose, and postnatal support. Day four, we're discovering healing through a trauma-informed lens. And day five, the nervous system and how it affects fertility. And I'm also going to share with you about the certification. So I'm really excited to be on this 5-day journey with you. Please turn on your receptivity to all that is shared. Open your heart and your mind and share openly throughout as well. And turn off any preconceived ideas and notions that you already know what I am going to share. Screenshot and share on social media and go into the running to win an integration session valued at $300. So as much as you can, screenshot the things that are resonating with you, share your thoughts, your opinions on what it is that you are learning, share it with the world, share it with your community, tag me in it, and go into the running to win this integration session with me, where we will go through all of the things that you have learned and how you can start applying it straight away into your offerings. The more you tag, the more you share, the more chance you have to win this session. Questions. I thrive off your comments and questions, so please ask. If you're catching the replays, use the Facebook group. Ask the questions in the Facebook group, and I will support you in there. I will answer the questions for you, and I will be also able to give you clarity and share. I can even share in longer form the answers in the subsequent sessions. So yeah, if you're catching the replay, pop it in the comments inside the Facebook group. And if I believe that it would benefit you to have these longer discussions around that, I do invite you to come into the VIP experience. This is where you will get hot seat coaching, the ability to have your questions answered, and you can pick my brain. You can have these deep conversations and learn even in real time how you can start to implement these things that you are learning each day of this event. So I just want to quickly run through some statistics around loss. 1 in 4 pregnancies will end in loss. 1 in 8 will experience infertility, which I am now aware, though it is 1 in 6. So the statistic is has risen to 1 in 6 that will experience infertility. 1 in 100 will experience recurrent loss. 1 in 100 births will end in stillbirth. 47% of loss survivors will experience guilt. 24% of women will experience severe or moderate anxiety. 50 to 75% of recurrent miscarriages remains medically unexplained. 29% will suffer from PTSD, and 43% have not told their friends or family. Now, I really want to see these statistics change with this, with everything I'm going to be sharing with you inside this 5 days. I'm hoping this information can go on and create this ripple effect throughout the generations and have these statistics change, because we're giving the people, giving women, giving couples the ways that they can holistically heal so that they're not going and having subsequent losses and imprinting trauma, especially when we feel like we have to hold all of this to ourselves. It's only embedding that experience and making it worse in our bodies. So having these safe spaces, having more women, more trained professionals who can hold that space and hopefully mitigate these statistics of PTSD and trauma and have them decrease, because we don't have to be going down that path. With the right support, you don't have to be going down the path of mental health, anxiety, PTSD, or imprinting trauma, having a really traumatic experience and not having the support on the other side of you to help you process that, to help your body process that. So, oops, I left a little boo-boo there. Inside the VIP experience, I have lined up some incredible guest speakers who are going to enhance the conversations around holistic healing and also touch on things that I believe are really super beneficial for us to know. And so that if we get these women coming to us, if we get the clients coming to us with, these things happening, we have tools, or we have someone that we can refer them to if they need to go deeper, if there still is blocks, if you feel like what they're coming to you with is outside of your scope. Now these people are professionals that you can refer them to as well. So we're going to dive deep into some certain topics that I believe is super, super important, and open the discussion, dive deep, and give you some more tools, more awareness, so that at the end of this 5 days, you're going to be so equipped to be able to really help someone coming to you with anything really in life after loss. So today's guest expert is Celine. Celine is a master level registered dietitian and certified fertility nutritionist. She founded Fueling Fertility and developed the Restore Fertility Roadmap. This 12-week program uses personalized nutrition to boost fertility, drawing from personal experiences with hormone imbalances and miscarriage. Celine uses functional nutrition to help women and couples achieve healthy pregnancies and have healthy babies. Her practice supports clients through infertility and pregnancy loss with tailored nutritional plans, lifestyle adjustments, and strategic supplementation, emphasizing a holistic, scientifically based approach. Now, she is our guest expert today, and I am so excited to be able to talk about this because nutrition is so key in our healing and recovery, and there isn't enough knowledge or awareness that you get from the medical world to say that this is important. Thursday, we'll be speaking with Gretel. She is a family and relationship coach and somatic therapist, helping neurodivergent entrepreneur mums to confidently create a life they love by being able to focus on a business that contributes their magic to the world without them needing to hide away any of their magic or their authentic, unique, and magical self from the world. She does that with the combination of human design and somatic trauma healing techniques, and works in a range of different ways according to what is needed by you to move forward and make the contribution you are here to make. She has a particular interest in families, motherhood, developmental trauma, and relational neuroscience, and brings these concepts and wisdom into her work to support women. So with Gretel, we are actually going to be diving into trauma, how that imprints in our bodies after loss, and hopefully mitigate PTSD, how that helps. When we can understand trauma, we can understand that PTSD isn't a lifelong diagnosis. It's something we can heal and recover from. It's not something that we have to live with for the rest of our lives. So with Gretel, we are going to dive deep into all of that stuff and really give you the tools and awareness about trauma and how you can then in turn support someone that is coming to you in that space. Friday, we're going to be talking with Jordana. She's a seasoned somatic movement coach and mentor to coaches specializing in the integration of core energetics and nervous system recalibration to support bereaved mothers. With extensive training in the 5 personality patterns, her method focuses on empowering professionals to apply somatic practices effectively in their work. Jordana's approach is deeply empathetic and scientifically grounded, providing tools that foster emotional and physical healing. Her workshops and mentoring sessions equip professionals with strategies to facilitate profound, sustainable change in those grappling with grief, enhancing their resilience and capacity for joy. So with Jordana, we're actually going to go through how we can start to move those traumatic imprints through somatic movement. So this is a super beneficial session, and something that is going to deeply support your clients, just to be able to view them through that trauma-informed lens and have these tools at your fingertips is going to be super beneficial for you. And a bonus session on Saturday with Evangelia. She is a passionate traditional Chinese medicine practitioner, herbalist, and healer, driven by personal losses that ignited a profound journey toward healing on all levels. Her mission emerged from the realization of the divine support needed for women, particularly in intricate journey of motherhood. Evangelia envisions a world where women feel supported and empowered with the right tools and ancient wisdom passed down by their ancestors. Her holistic approach not only heals, but also nurtures a profound sense of connection, resilience, and self-empowerment among women worldwide. So I'm bringing Evangelia in because traditional Chinese medicine really, really supports and backs the whole trauma and somatic movement aspect of everything, that we have to really start to see our emotions, witness them, process them, because as traditional Chinese medicine states, our body stores that energy. So how do we, and then it starts blocking all of our energetic channels. So how do we start to really move that energy? What does that mean? What does that stagnant energy mean? And how is that presenting in your body, in your client's body, and how you can support them through that? I also have a live masterclass that I will be doing with you on epigenetics through the lens of pregnancy loss and trauma. So this is a real innovative approach to healing. So with this epigenetics masterclass, we will delve into the profound connections between genetics and experience, specifically focusing on pregnancy loss and trauma healing. So I would love for you to join me on this transformative journey to understand how epigenetics shapes our well-being and empowers positive change, equipping you with the tools to heal and thrive. So this is the real underlying reason why we need to change, why we need to do these things, why we need to heal, why we need to recover. So this is the whole underlying reason, is that epigenetic factor. And I create this masterclass through the lens of pregnancy loss and trauma. So it can be applicable, obviously, to the women and people that you're working with, but it's also something that is applicable on a broader spectrum as well. So welcome to day one, unlocking grief literacy and emotional processing power. By the end of day one, you'll have unlocked the power of grief literacy and emotional processing, equipping you with the understanding and tools needed to navigate and support the complex journey of pregnancy loss with compassion and competence. So I just want to check in, and if you're catching the replays, please pop it in below this. Well, I'm going to say, I was just going to say below the recording, but I'm not going to put the recording in there. Just share in the Facebook group if you are here on this 5 days because you have experienced loss yourself, or you've noticed maybe that it is something that is a support that is missing for women. So day one, we are understanding grief and emotional processing, recognition and acknowledgement of grief, and family dynamics and support. Grief and emotions are healthy. And contrary to what society will lead you to believe, they are healthy. You can feel them, you can grieve, you can go through the motions. Understanding grief. So grief is a complex emotional response to loss, not just limited to death, but also applicable to other significant life changes. But also with loss comes the grief of everything else you've lost in that as well. So it's not just the baby that has died. It is the future that you envisioned. It is potentially, a change in work. That was something that I envisioned, was like, oh my gosh, I get to do something different. I get to leave my job and create something that, maybe is a little bit more fulfilling. But, it's not just the grief of the physical baby that you're grieving. It is everything else that is attached to that as well. You could be grieving relationships that fall apart then after loss as well. You could be grieving so many different parts of you that that sort of die along with that experience. So it is a multifaceted thing, and it is so nuanced that not unless you have experienced loss, or unless you've gone through a training that educates you on what it is, you can't understand how significant the grief is. And it's not just grief. It's not just the 7 stages or the 5 stages of grief. When you see a therapist, sometimes that's all they'll actually go through with you, is those stages, and you're like, it's so much more than that. So grief literacy, developing the ability to understand and express grief, is crucial for learning. Crucial for emotional well-being. This involves recognizing the various forms of grief can take and learning healthy coping mechanisms. Emotional processing power, empowering individuals with the tools to process their emotions effectively, can lead to healthier grieving and better mental health outcomes. And we're not taught how to process our emotions, not unless you had a really emotionally intelligent parents and upbringing. We don't have the tools to process our emotions. So it's learning now and teaching and educating how we can do those as adults going through this experience. Importance of support. So providing a supportive environment for those experiencing grief can aid in their emotional processing and help them navigate through their loss more effectively. Grief is grief. No, this is something that I learnt with all of the grief that I've experienced in my life, and the grief that I experienced when my baby died. It is not just grief, and it's not the same grief. It's so much more personal. So we need to understand, what is grief and why. Understanding that grief around pregnancy loss, what is different and why that is so important to understand. That she will grieve, unlike societal expectations, she's going to grieve. And I know a lot of lost mums who have reached out to me and said, I'm not allowed to grieve because there was nothing, no sign of pregnancy on the outside, but internally they were pregnant. They knew that they were pregnant. They had attached to that baby. They had attached to the vision of their life. They had become a mum. And that's what they're grieving. And they don't feel like they're allowed to grieve because society tells them they can't. So she will grieve, giving her the safe space to do that. The different ways that grief will present for a lost mum. And in addition, she will feel that she is to blame for the death of her baby. It adds a very different layer to the grieving process because she will feel directly at fault. She will feel shame that is placed on her from society and family, and she will feel guilt that she did something wrong. And this is why grief is not just grief, because there's so much more to it. And that's why when you, as what I mean, it's why so many women who seek out therapy and counseling say that there is always something missing, that they're not getting the results that they need. And this is why, because they're not seen for their experience, and they're also not seen for potentially the trauma that they went through. So quickly, what is grief literacy? This refers to a person's understanding of grief, including the awareness, knowledge, and empathy that they have towards the experiences of those who are grieving. It involves recognizing the different aspects of grief, such as the emotional, physical, mental, and societal impacts it can have on an individual. It is understanding grief, empathy and compassion, effective communication, respecting diversity in grief, self-care, and seeking help when needed, but also finding that help that is right. And if it's not right, going again, finding something that's going to, really, really support you. And with everything that I'm going to be sharing, even if you're just taking away these days, something from these days, you're going to be providing support and talking about it. If you're talking about it, you're going to be providing support to someone and they're going to feel seen. They will feel deeply seen and understood because you're providing it from a place of that grief literacy, of really knowing and validating and understanding where they're coming from, where that grief is coming from. So grief literacy is important because it helps individuals support others who are going through a tough time and fosters a more compassionate and understanding community. Unfortunately, it is often lacking because grief is a sensitive and sometimes uncomfortable topic that many people may not know how to navigate. And even more so in pregnancy loss. People do not know how to navigate. We're not grief literate as a society. We don't know how to support people through emotions. So, and then pregnancy loss adds that next layer on top of that. People do not know how to do that. When grief literacy is lacking, people may unknowingly say or do things that are hurtful or unhelpful to those who are grieving. This can lead to feelings of isolation, misunderstanding, and inadequacy in both the griever and the supporter. Improving grief literacy through education, open conversations, and practicing empathy can help bridge this gap and create a more supportive environment for those who are dealing with loss. It is essential to address this lack of understanding and ensure that individuals receive the support and care they need during these times. So, just a question to ask yourself at this point: do you feel like you are well versed in grief literacy? Or do you know either firsthand or can see how this is lacking in society? Grief and its different ways. So, understanding the different facets of grief. A few different definitions of grief that a lost mum will experience is secondary loss, when a loss impacts many areas of her life, creating multiple losses stemming from the primary loss. This can be them as a woman and their identity. They could be um, grieving for their body as well. So when I experienced my loss, I I grieved who I thought I was and what I thought I was capable of doing. And I also did grieve then who I was moving forward because I had created this vision for myself and I didn't know who that was anymore. Masked grief. So, grief reactions that impair normal functioning. However, the individual is unable to recognize these symptoms and behaviors are related to loss. Disenfranchised grief. So, one's grief is disenfranchised when their culture, society, or support group make them feel their loss and or grief is invalidated and insignificant. And I think these are huge ones for lost mums. Traumatic grief, normal grief responses experienced in combination with traumatic distress suffered. Pregnancy loss is trauma to the mind, body, and spirit. So even more so when it is traumatic and not a straightforward loss. So a lot of the time, when you're not given that safe space, you're not given the understanding, you're not given that love and support in those initial moments of your loss, if you're not given maybe the right tools to cope, maybe the right even like to say, for example, with my loss, it was a very traumatic experience for me. I had the love of my husband going through it. I had the support of my mum, but what embedded the trauma for me was the lack of understanding and awareness of what I was actually going through. So it was that I wasn't prepared. I thought that I had to push through. I thought that I had to do all of the things at home. That's what the doctor told me. Just go home, it'll happen at home. So that's what I did. And it ended up being a very, very traumatic experience for me at home. Ended up being rushed to hospital and getting a DNC. So it doesn't, it could be that there's a lack of support from the medical system, a very cold kind of reception from them in terms of what's happening. So then you feel like it's invalidating. Or it could be that you're not given the right awareness and the right tools to help yourself process that experience. Ambiguous grief, so losses that lack clarity can lead to different views of who or what has been lost. Individuals and those around them may question whether a loss has occurred or if this is a loss that should validate deep emotional responses, such as such as with disenfranchised deaths. So many women feel this after pregnancy loss. They will get responses of, like, it wasn't even a baby. How can you grieve? How can you have these emotional responses? Or, are you sure you were even pregnant? I've heard women say that to me before. That was the response that they got from others. Are you sure? And to have someone question you is going to embed this even further, embed that isolation, that misunderstanding, that grief. We're going to push that in, and it's going to cause this ambiguous grief. Absent grief, this is when the bereaved shows absolutely no signs of grief and acts as though nothing has happened, characterized by complete shock or denial, especially in the face of a sudden loss. So this can happen, absolutely, but if it's a long-term thing, if they are staying in this absent grief for a long period of time, it's going to actually be detrimental to their healing and recovery. Emotional literacy. So just a quick definition, emotional literacy refers to the ability to recognize, understand, and effectively deal with one's own emotions as well as the emotions of others. It involves being aware of and able to express one's feelings in a healthy way, as well as being able to empathize with, and appropriately respond to the emotions of others. Emotional literacy is key in building strong relationships, managing stress, and making informed decisions. Now, this again is something that is completely lacking. So, grief literacy and emotional literacy is missing from society, from those around us, and sometimes from professionals that we see as well. So we need to step up, we need to bridge these gaps, we need to provide this support, educate, and create awareness around what true support looks like. So emotions are energy in motion, and you may have already heard that before. Emotions are our body's messengers. They're our communicators. There is no negative or positive emotion. They need to be witnessed versus suppressed. So when they become suppressed, this is where that I was talking about the traditional Chinese medicine. This is why I got Evangelarian, because I want to talk about it. This is why we need to process the emotions. That energy is meant to be moving through us, not stagnant, not pushed inside, not ignored and suppressed. So the energy of that emotion needs to be seen and witnessed and move through. She will be triggered in so many different areas of her life after loss. There's got so many more triggers in life after loss than what you could ever expect. Something that wasn't a trigger before loss is now a trigger. Something that seems so seemingly insignificant is a trigger. And you get caught off guard and these emotions come up, and some of them aren't nice. Well, most of them are going to be uncomfortable. So we need to help women understand what these triggers are, help them have that awareness of that triggers aren't something that we can ignore and run away from, and have tools for them so that they can process those. understand why and process them, which is something that I go through in the practitioner certification as well. I give you a literal, a tangible structure so that you can actually help people move through that, and they can visually see what's happening and how they can be empowered then in seeing those triggers and being able to process those emotions. Common emotions that will be experienced are guilt, shame, blame, resentment, failure, and so many more. But these are the huge ones that come up all of the time. So it's not only about witnessing the emotion, but witnessing any physical discomfort there is in the body at the same time, because these are connected. And sometimes you may not notice the emotion, you may notice the physical sensation first, and then the emotional, something like whatever it is, comes in afterwards. So really having the emotional awareness and the body awareness, because they are connected, and having the awareness of both is going to give you the ability to really, really deeply process those emotions. So I love traditional Chinese medicine for allowing us to truly witness the body. Some common emotions and where they can be felt in the body according to traditional Chinese medicine. That emotions are closely tied to physical health, and the suppression of emotions can disrupt the flow of energy in the chakras or the qi in the body. When the emotions are suppressed, they can manifest in various physical symptoms related to different organs according to TCM philosophy. So here are some common emotions and their potential physical manifestations. So anger and irritability. When anger is suppressed, it may affect the liver, leading to symptoms such as headaches, muscle tension, or digestive issues. Sadness and grief. Suppressed sadness can impact the lungs, potentially resulting in respiratory issues such as shortness of breath, coughing, or asthma. Worry or overthinking. Excessive worry can disrupt the spleen and stomach function, leading to digestive problems, fatigue, or lack of appetite. Fear or anxiety, which again is a huge one for lost mums. Suppressed fear can affect the kidneys, causing symptoms like lower back pain, urinary issues, or reproductive system imbalances. So this is so important. This is why we need to really help people understand their emotions, because the suppressed emotions, the suppressed trauma can directly affect fertility and the reproductive system. And if they're going on and they want to try to conceive, this is something that is so important that we need to help them put a huge, importance on. It's not just an emotion. It's something that we do need to see, and we need to witness, so that you can help your body function in a way that it's meant to, as opposed to suppressing all of that energy, pushing it all back inside and causing these physical health issues. So I want to go into the family perspective. So the partner grieves too. It looks different. Like, if it's the same, even if it's a same-sex partnership, it's going to look different between each of the partners, because the person obviously that is carrying the baby is going to have a completely different connection to what is happening than the other person is. So to understand that both of you are grieving, whether it's the male and the female, or even if it's in a same-sex partnership, both of you are grieving. It's just going to look different. So have compassion and ways to help support yourself through that and support your relationship through that, so it doesn't break down. The parents will grieve in their own way too. So it's not just obviously the couple that's going through it, it's the parents, the grandparents. They were expecting, to have grandchildren as well. So it can look really different. And also it's going to depend on the upbringing of those parents to how much they can actually acknowledge that experience. A lot of older generations are used to no emotion, kind of pushing it away and, sucking it up and kind of brushing yourself off and getting on with it. So don't expect sometimes the parents to be able to be there for you, but just know that they will be grieving in their own way, but it will look different. And it may not be the support that you need, but if it's not, seek that support that you need. Find maybe that support in other people. We can't expect someone to be there for us when they physically can't. Physically, emotionally, mentally can't. So how can we understand and give themselves understand where those other people are coming from, love them for that, but understand that they may not be able to give you what you need. And also understand that they are grieving as well. It's just going to be different. So communication is huge so that you don't have these breakdowns in relationships. If it's yourself and your partner, how can you both be in this together? If you or your partner's had a heavy day, how do they naturally show support already? It might, and again, it might not look it might not look like what the type of support that you need, but it can show you that they are trying. It can show you that they are doing something to try and help the situation. So really opening up the communication, having safe spaces to talk about your emotions and your feelings, and sort of trying to see where that other person is coming from. And trying to see what they are trying to do potentially already to help you, to be there for you, but they just don't know how to do it in the way that you want them to. So this is where that communication is really important so that you know what each other need, but how do they naturally show you support already? So it'd be interesting to understand just quickly here, like if you want to pop it into the Facebook group as well. How have you noticed partners grieving already? If you have supported people, if it's been your own experience, how have you noticed partners or parents being able to grieve? For me, my husband, um, he was trying to control the situation. He was trying to make sure everything was done, all the bills were paid, like all of those types of things. And it's not something that I could think about, but it's also something that caused a lot of tension because I couldn't talk about it either. I just saw him as, I thought he was moving on. I thought he was forgetting, but it wasn't. It was his way of trying to take control because everything else in his life felt out of control. So, and he was scared. He was scared. He didn't know how to support me. So how have you been able to notice that even in your own life or in someone else's life? Um, and maybe your parents were able to open up to you. It'd be really interesting if you want to share, feel free to share in the comments in the Facebook group. How have you seen this play out already? So you would have been given a PDF workbook to go along with this 5 days. So I really invite you to do the homework. It's going to supplement your learning, help you develop ways to integrate your knowledge, think of ways that you can support others. So I really encourage you to do the homework inside of these 5 days, really carve out that time. And please share your biggest takeaways inside the Facebook group as well. I would love to hear what your biggest takeaways are from today. Um, and or any like aha moments, stuff like that, or even if it's just sort of cementing or reaffirming something for you. I'd really love to hear what your thoughts are on this. So please, please, please share. I'm all for it. I will, if you've got any questions, please pop it in the Facebook group. I will support you in the Facebook group. So please lean on that as much as you need, especially while you've got this time with me. And tag and share what has been resonating with you and share it on social media so that you can win your chance for an integration session. If you want to upgrade into the VIP, you still can. So I'm going to pop the VIP link in the Facebook group as well, but you can message me, direct message me if you want to upgrade into the VIP and take advantage of these incredible guests that I have as well, and any hot seat coaching and questions that you want to ask me. We can spend an hour going through that. If you want the recordings and you haven't purchased the recordings as well, they are available at a discounted rate right now. And if you upgrade into the VIP, you also get all of the VIP guests, all of the sessions recorded if you have purchased the recordings, you get all of the VIP guests as well if you upgrade into the VIP sessions. So that's all then added to your recordings for the event. So then you've got everything in one place and you have lifetime access to that. You can go back at any time. You can watch these sessions. You can watch the guest experts at any time, and then you can still use the Facebook group to ask any questions and share anything that you're navigating at the time. I think that is it. I'm going to finish the recording now, and I'm going to jump into Celine's VIP session. So thank you for listening in, and I look forward to supporting you tomorrow. Thank you for listening in with me today. I hope you found this episode helpful. If you did, I would absolutely love to hear from you. Take a screenshot of this episode, share it to social media, and tag me at Institute of Healing_PL. I love seeing what is resonating with you right now. If you want to chat further, I invite you to connect with me through Instagram. Head over and follow my Instagram account, send me a DM, and let's open the communication. If you want to know more about how you can be the support for others, head to the show notes and fill out the application form for the Pregnancy Loss Practitioner certification. I want to also note here that what I share within the episodes is not medical advice. If you need further support, please consult your doctor. Thank you again. Much love to you. Be gentle with yourself, and I look forward to supporting you on the next episode.